All right, so I want to show you something, picking up where I left off with recursive research. So this is a site from the National Gallery of Art in Washington, D.C., and it's talking about a painter named Stuart Davis. And Stuart Davis was famous for using the recursive method in his work. And I thought this would be a good example because this shows it to you visually, so you don't just have to rely on the concept, in the abstract. Okay, so what does this look like visually? So you can see in the first example a painting called A Town Square on the left and Report from Rockport on the right. Okay, now the idea here is this painting was the original painting that he did earlier in his career. And what he did, his methodology, he liked to go back to his earlier work as he got older and re-envision it based on his new technique. So as he progressed, as he got older, he used brighter colors, more intense colors, more geometry. And so, he decided, well, why reinvent compositions? I'm going to go back and look at the old paintings that worked and kind of rethink them in my new methodology. So this is the old version. And then on this website, it's really nicely designed. If you scroll across, you can see how it's been reinterpreted, right? So everything that was there before is still there. But you can see this one, the colors are, muted and kind of plain. And then all of a sudden, it gets really bright. There's a lot of geometry. There's a lot of things added on to it. Another example here, maybe even more dramatic. You can see it's called Landscape with Saw. So it's you can see there's a saw shape on the right-hand side, and so a piece of paper maybe in the middle. And so basically, it's very, very quiet colors and very modern, obviously, but the colors are pretty muted. And then you can see it gets completely different. And this is 30 years later. So this is 1922, and this is 1952. And you can see even the way the colors are. You can see, they're kind of like the 1920s. It's kind of quiet. This is very 1950s like with the bright colors and the geometry, and it kind of looks like jazz. And so the point is, as you're looking at it, this is kind of what you're doing with your research, not just for this class, but for any class. The better you are at a topic, the more skilled you are in terms of asking more probing questions. So I just wanted to give you a visual art angle to that. Okay, so now let's take a look at continuing this discussion of books. So the first thing to note with books is the difference between a scholarly and a non-scholarly book. And I'm going to talk about this after the midterm in terms of articles and peer-reviewed articles, but right now I just want to focus on books. So first of all, the idea of scholarly, using scholarly sources. A scholarly source is anything produced by a scholar who is generally somebody who is in higher education. So it could be a professor, it could be a researcher, and the audience are professors and researchers, but it's also people like you. It's college students, it's college graduates. And the point is, any kind of a scholarly source assumes that the reader has a educational background in what they're reading. So if you read, let's say, a biology book, that's a scholarly book, it assumes, even if you don't necessarily have to be a biologist, professional biologist, but it's going to assume you are a biology major when you were in college, or that you've taken some biology courses. So the text is at a little higher level than it would be for something that's meant for every kind of person that might encounter the book, which is why you should only be using scholarly sources in college, books and journals, and also, especially if you're going to graduate school, it's going to be more and more of an issue. For our class, for this assignment, I won't require it because, again, you can't get hardcover copies in the library. So I just want you to find books that are relevant in our library. Most of them are scholarly anyways, but I won't hold you to that. But I want you to understand the idea behind scholarly books. Now, that's all well and good. How do you know if a book is a scholarly book? That part is very simple. When you open the cover of a book, you just look to see who the publisher is, because that's the quickest way to know, is it associated with a university or a college. So if it's University of Michigan Press, or it's Oxford University Press, or if you see the name of a school, basically, you know that the book you have is a scholarly book. Now, non-scholarly books from popular publishers would include publishers like HarperCollins, Macmillan, Penguin, Random House, Simon & Schuster, and these are big companies. Most of them are headquartered in New York, and they are for recreational reading. And their goal as a company is to make money, and that's why they're in business. And that means they're aiming for a bestseller. So a popular book publisher would get, a biography of Beyonce, or the history of the New York Yankees, or something where there's going to be a lot of people who want to read that book. A scholarly publisher, publishes the life of a New England farm housewife and her thoughts about the American Revolution, right? So again, it's interesting. It's important to publish it, but you're not going to have people waiting in line in the rain to buy it. So if the scholarly publishers didn't exist, that sort of book would never be published, and obviously that would be not a good thing. We want to have more scholarly research done, not just entertainment. Okay, so I'm going to show this to you in more detail in the next video about how to actually search, but I just want to explain when you're searching for the book, and you can also do, as I've shown to you about reference sources, you want to use one search. So again, I'll show it to you in a few minutes, but just want to point that out to you. And talk about the assignment a little bit. For this coming week, you need to get me a book. As I say here, you must give me a citation for a book related to your topic by 9 a.m. next Tuesday for 10 points credit. As I say here in the third section from the top, the book can be either online or a hard copy. And by that I mean, I know you can't get the hard copy. At this point, for this assignment specifically, I just want you to find two, or in this case, one relevant book related to your topic. So if it's a hardcover book, it's not great because you can't actually use it for your assignment for the midterm. But if you're not finding much, you can utilize that for this assignment only, and I'll judge it based on the title and the subject headings and the relevance to your topic. All right. So, but next week you need to submit a citation for a book, and it can be hardcover or it can be online. And so again, you can read the rest of it, but I'll grade it basically how closely it follows, focuses on your topic. And as I see here also, I don't want a broad book about World War II or World War I. All right, it has to be the more focused it is on your topic, the better, the more relevant. So if you're doing women pilots in World War II, I don't want a book about bomber planes in World War II, all the different kinds of planes there were, right? That's it has to be specifically about women in aviation, or women in the Air Force, or it has to be about Dutch school children during World War II, or something along those lines. So it has to be specifically related, not just a broad history of the entire war. Okay, and again, as I see here one more time, if the book is electronic format, you can use it in your annotated bibliography. If it's a hard copy only, you will not be able to use it in your midterm since you cannot access hard books right now. But you can use a hard copy book for this book assignment, since I don't expect you to read the book for the book assignment. Okay, another thing which I'm going to go over in more detail, but I want this slide to be available if you want to come back and look at it, is utilizing Library of Congress subject headings. And again, I'll show it to you more in the next video, but I just wanted to put this here, and you can come back to this and look at this about the video. And again, next week, as I said multiple times, you need to submit one book citation for 10 points credit. It's a book specifically related to your archival topic. So that should be submitted to Blackboard before the start of class at 9 a.m. next Tuesday. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up the PowerPoint videos, and the next video I will actually do some searching, and I'll show you how to find the books you need for the assignment.